Greetings, clubbers and clobberettes and clobberonimos and clobbermites and clobbering club greetings. How about that? I can't settle on one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Clobberin Times issue number 410 on YouTube, 1,110 overall, and Monday night Mark C. Comics Talk here in Jack Kirby month 2022. It's good to see you all, my good friends, members, and members and non-members, and anyone whether you're a member or not. Welcome. I don't know what I'm talking about because it's Monday. I don't feel very clobbery yet, but I'll get there. Let's see. I have a guest here tonight, I think. I don't know if he's here or not, actually, but it looks like Minimus Prime.
I'm not here yet.
Might be here. See, he's not here.
I'm elsewhere.
He's in the chat under another name.
I am?
Yeah, you are. You're in both places.
Oh, two people.
My good friends, quick show notes before we say our hellos and get a lethargic move on. Let's see here. But of course, as you know, again, it is Jack Kirby month all month. Wednesday night, the topic will be Kirby Obscura. I'm gonna, everyone always talks about the big stuff. His biggest, most famous creations. Going to try to talk about some of the, I don't want to say smaller ones, but certainly the less known ones, and do a little bit of that. And of course, Thursday night. Man, I didn't put up my. Damn it! I didn't put up pictures for those yet. What's wrong with me? You can't do show notes without the damn pictures. That's a rule. You probably didn't know that.
I'm new in town myself.
Where are my freaking pictures?
You looked in your sock drawer?
There we go.
Oh, you don't have socks.
No, I don't. All right, everyone, start over with the damn show notes. It'll be obscure. I'm gonna show some of the. I don't know. It's just not his most famous work. Let's put it like that. We all know his most famous work is his Marvel and Silver Age stuff like that, and we're gonna talk about some of the other stuff. And who knows? We're gonna build up to. Wait. We got another show coming to it. Almost forgot another one. Thursday night. So I got to announce Thursday night as well. Sorry, everybody. I just so. What the hell's wrong with me tonight? Don't answer that. Where's my pictures? I can't find my pictures on the. By the way, I've been having some. I just want to say some issues with StreamYards that I've been messing with all day, so I'm just kind of brain fried right now. Drive me nuts. Some of the crap they do. Oh well. I don't know where that picture went. So anyway, the clubhouse. Where were you? Dang it. Oh well, shoot. Sorry, everybody. All right, the clubhouse will be celebrating the birthday of Gene Roddenberry. Yes, it's Kirby month, of course, but also it's Gene Roddenberry's birthday this coming Friday. But Thursday night we will celebrate that. Okay, fine. I promise to get on track now. And of course, Saturday night Star Trek a week. See on. I think it's actually going to be on Saturday night for a change. We're going to finish season 1 of Deep Space Nine with the proper episode order this time. No screw up this time. I messed up, man. Oh man. So, and then Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk a week from tonight. The great Mark D. with a C and I shall review what is, some would say, the greatest Jack Kirby comic of all time. I don't know if it is, but it's probably my favorite. Fantastic Four number 51. Is it the greatest Kirby comic of all time? Well, I don't know. Find me a greatest Kirby issue, and I'll say, hey, man, what about this one? How about this one? What about that one? So it's probably a silly thing to even say, but we're going to review this comic because it is one of his masterpieces. Let's put it like this. One of the greatest comics of the Silver Age. And if you're a Thing fan, hey, So looking forward to that. And now I'm so disorganized tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. I just don't know what the hell it is tonight, man. So sorry, clobberers and clobberonimos. Here we go. Okay, so let's say some hellos and we'll get started. Phantom Outsider, what's up, buddy? Or as I always like to say, Phantom Outsider, what's up? Then he became a woman. Oh, no, sorry. Just kidding. He's still a man. Proof on file. Maddie's daddy, what's up, Steve Mitchell? Good to see you there, buddy. D. Bud Martin. How's it going, man of iron? Hope you're doing well. It's great hanging out with you next the other night. J-Man. What is up, buddy? I can't wait. In a couple of weeks, we will be reviewing another comic. In fact, we need to maybe try to review one before that. But we're going to, once Jack Kirby month is done, we've got some cool stuff to review. Guagnar. I can't say it like Raquel does, buddy. So, she has a special way of saying your name that cannot be matched. And I'm sorry. The great Chris Persia. What's up, bro? Thank you so much for all you do, buddy. We really appreciate you. You're the man. The great Wrench Canadian. Brian Hepburn, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. MMN Masters, Maniac Mexico. Thank you for being here tonight. It's good to see you, my new friend. Hungry for pesto on a bagel, meaning hungry boy for pesto on a bagel. What is pesto? Should I know what pesto is? Does Minimus know what pesto is? I don't know if Minimus is even here.
Do you eat food?
No, you can tell by looking at me I've never eaten food.
Pesto.
Okay.
You've been pissed off.
Okay. Kal-El, buddy. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Some weirdo in the chat by the name of Clobberin Parisius. I don't know who that is.
Who knows? You would not like pesto. It's green, it's slimy, and it's like a sauce. And
yet someone would want to put it on a bagel.
Hey, I bet a lot of people would like to put it on a bagel and other things.
He changed his name, however, to Hungry for a Big Barda Film, but accurate. Her own movie, huh? Actually, she did one with Superman once. I'm sorry. John Byrne sucks. Scotty, I-37. Hey there, man. Good to see you. Let's see here. Stupid chat jumping on me. StreamYards have been giving me some. They've been really annoying lately. Neranax Amanda Bear, hello there, my friend. It is good to see you, subtle. Okay. All right. I think now I'm up to speed. Anyone else who pops in, we'll shout them out. So I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Great to see you, my friends. Jack Kirby month. It is indeed. We have with us tonight someone who I think has heard of Jack Kirby. Is Minimus Prime. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I sort of remember hearing something about him. Is he like buddies with Harry Styles? He's in that band One Direction.
Yes.
He's got like a big bouffant hairdo.
That's him.
He sings like a girl. Is that him?
That's him. I think we've probably talked about it a couple of times, but my friends, for me, it's probably the greatest two geek experiences of my life, meeting Jack Kirby and his wonderful wife Roz, and this monster Minimus was this monster Minimus was there for both occasions. That is a compliment. Yes, well, of course, was there for both occasions. The first time was in 1986 at Dallas Fantasy Fair, and even though he's really, really ancient, he has a better memory than me, so he remembers a lot of this stuff better than I do. Because I don't remember. He told me today, and I didn't remember. You were talking about how you heard about this convention.
You want a cliff notes of it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because I can't remember how it all came about.
We were doing there was an open house at Capital City Comics, which was a distributor in New Orleans many years ago, and they had a lot of flyers and pamphlets and stuff. And one of the pamphlets had like, these people are available for your convention through DC Comics. And Jack Kirby was one of them. Well, Jack didn't know about that. His wife didn't know about that. I brought it there. She saw it. She got a little pissed off. I don't know what became of that. But it said that he was going to be in Dallas Fantasy Fair. And that was like probably months down the road. So we both had some time to let people know we were going, save up some money. And as I recall, you worked at a job that you didn't really like that much. But as soon as you heard that Jack Kirby was coming to this hemisphere, you became like their top salesman or whatever that they have, and
Yeah.
you were able. We were all like, there was a bunch of us that went, but you, that was probably your first really big convention that meant something to you. It meant something to me
Well,
too.
no, we went the year before. Remember to the same con, and we met Gil Kane, so that was pretty big. But, yeah.
Yeah, but
But it
Gil
was.
Kane.
Yeah.
Gil Kane even said when I started to haltingly say something to this kid, the kid who said, "Who's Jack Kirby?" at Gil Kane's table, and I said, "Jack Kirby is one of the great." I was going to say Jack Kirby is one of the greatest artists of all time. Gil Kane looked up over the top of his glasses. He was drawing Batman, and I had the picture. He was looking up at me, and he said, "Jack Kirby is the greatest comic book artist of all time." So he said
Gil
that.
Kane said
He's
it,
the
so there
authority.
you go.
Yeah.
If Gil Kane said it, it's good enough for me. So at that con, well, that was at that in '86, which I think that was well, I remember now they moved it to a different hotel, maybe.
Yeah.
But
They moved it from the perfect hotel that had a
to a
big
little
parking garage.
right. So you remember more of that stuff than I do, but what I do remember is at this particular con where we met Jack Kirby in '86, some of the other names, let's see if I can remember some of them, of course.
Steve Englehart?
I don't remember him.
Yeah.
He may have been. I mean, why'd you come up with that name? Larry, good to see you, dude.
Frank being Miller. An ass to everybody.
Frank Miller, he was an ass to Kirby, so he can go screw himself, by the way. Not Frank Miller, Steve Englehart.
Steve Englehart, yeah.
Let's see. Frank Miller, Joe Kubert, Mobius, Vern Hogarth, Will Eisner, Dave Sim, Gary Groth, Dave Stevens. I'm just naming some names off the top of my head. I mean, there were some.
That was a freaking dream come true.
It was huge. I'm trying to make some of the other names that were there.
Was John Buscema at that one?
No, I wish I never got to meet him. I wish he had been. Harvey Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gil Kane. Gil Kane was at this one also. Remember?
Yeah.
Gil Kane is what?
I hollered at Harvey Kurtzman across the room, and he looked back at me and smiled. It was kind of weird.
I already said Mobius, right?
Yeah.
Mobius, Jean Giraud. I'm sure there were many, many others that I'm just forgetting. But it was pretty dang big. And we went to a panel that had, let's see, it was about the Jack Kirby art controversy, this panel.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting on that panel was, of course, Jack Kirby, Frank Miller, Vern Hogarth, Will Eisner. Will Eisner. Kenneth Smith wasn't on this panel.
Oh, thought he was.
It was Kirby, Miller, Eisner, Vern Hogarth, Gary Groth.
Yeah.
At this particular panel. I'm not sure if anyone else was at that one.
There was the Special K panel.
Special K panel. So maybe I don't know if Joe Kubert was at this con.
Yeah.
But he wasn't on that panel, nor was Kurtzman. I think the other one was the Kurtzman, Kubert, and Kirby panel or whatever.
Yeah. But I do recall that when they were asking about the art return, and there was a big controversy going on at the time about that. Amazing Heroes did a petition.
It
all kind of, I don't know. Anyway, Vern Hogarth, when they were asking everybody their opinion, Vern Hogarth was he was kind of indignant about it. He said that they have denuded him of the art, and I'm going, oh God, I need a dictionary because it's Vern Hogarth. Yes, basically, they stripped him of his art, and when they got to Will Eisner, he said, "Jack, I think they ought to give you your art back." That's all he said.
Well, for those who don't know, in the '80s, the early into the mid '80s, the Jack Kirby art controversy started. I mean, it'd been around, it'd been happening, but really started to come into the public spotlight via the comic press. And basically, Marvel was holding hostage, I don't know how tons and tons and tons of Jack Kirby's original art for fear of copyright challenges in court and such things. Whereas usually it was standard practice to give artists their original art back. and they've been keeping it in warehouses, giving it out, just
Giving
throwing
it
it out
out.
willy to people.
That
Yeah.
pissed me off.
Oh yeah, and Marvel was holding it hostage, like I said, at a previous con a week or two ago. A week or two before that, I remember like Buddy Saunders of Lone Star Comics had stood up and said that Jim Shooter was at a con. He'd been asked about it and been giving them a runaround, and Jim Shooter and James Galton and all those people at Marvel were really giving the Kirbys the runaround. It was big in the comics press. That was when I first started realizing. That was actually around the time that a couple years before this, maybe, but when it started coming out in the comic book press, started realizing that there was a lot of dispute over who did what when it comes to the creation of Marvel characters from, beginning of
Also,
Marvel.
Kirby was treated as a special case because they knew he had, he could have grabbed if he had a really good lawyer, he could have grabbed a gigantic portion of Marvel for himself. But it's like they were scared of him. I think somebody even there said they're scared of us because there was, I think that might have been a convention where the Marvel people didn't show up. But I was saying at the time there were copyrights that were due at some time because you had to renew them every 30 or 40 years or whatever. And a copyright on the Incredible Hulk was coming up. And I just said something like, couldn't they like just give Jack some money off of it? And I said, or he could sue them, and Marvel Comics could become Kirby Comics. And when he heard me say that, Frank Miller said, "I don't know. I think Kirby Comics sounds pretty good."
Does sound pretty good.
It came to pass too, didn't it?
Yeah, we used to have that whole thing on audio tape somewhere.
Yeah, loaned it out to somebody and never got it back.
Oh man, we used to listen to it over and over again. Anyway, Hungry Boy, you're right. So a ton of the original art was thrown away before that too. A lot needed to be rescued in the 60s. Yes. Hey there, JD Lewis. Good to see you, my friend. Gwagnar says they estimate that they had over 10,000 of his pages, which is just criminal.
They were trying to get him to settle for something like 800.
Yeah, they were trying to get him to settle. They were afraid that he had a legit challenge, which he did.
Yeah.
It was a damn shame. Brian Hepburn says Frank Miller is suing to get back promo art that he provided for a magazine in the 80s. The guy he gave it to died, and the widow was trying to auction it. Oh, wow. Frank seems to be doing okay for himself. He's starting a comic book company with Dan Dildio, but so.
Well, the thing about this is returning the art. They, like you said, they used to throw it away. They would give it away to visitors who came to Marvel or DC. The guy who put a stop to that was Neil Adams when he was trying to get some. He was trying to get some interest in Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster getting some kind of credit for Superman. He said he needed some kind of piece of art, and he went down to where they were holding it, and he saw some guy cutting art up with scissors, and he asked him what he was doing, and he goes, I'm just cutting this, I'm just chopping this up so he can give it out piece at a time. And he looked and saw what it was. I don't remember what he said it was, but he said he told the guy to stop or he was going to kill him. So the guy stopped, and he said, don't touch another thing. I'm going up to talk to the bosses. He went upstairs, and that was what got the ball rolling on that. And this was before the Kirby controversy, which really shouldn't have been a controversy because work for hire means one thing. It doesn't mean you own this physical art. You own the character. Go ahead and take the copyright, steal it from him. Don't give him anything for it. Pay him for doing the work, but don't own the physical art. Work for hire means we need this thing, and you're going to provide this thing for us, and this is what you get paid. But they augmented it by saying the art is ours now. And if you recall Jim Shooter saying the most laughably ridiculous, it would have been laughable if it was so freaking serious. Marvel Comics is the author of these books. Like it was a guy named Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
But Steve Ditko was one of the first ones to bail when he knew Steve Ditko knew what was going on at Marvel. He didn't like it. He got in fights with Stan Lee, and then finally he just said, "Screw it, I'm walking out." Kirby stayed there. Kirby stayed, and I I think that if Kirby had left when Steve Ditko left, he probably wouldn't have gotten anything. But he and
True.
his wife, and
Probably
of
true.
course Gary Groth came along and championed this. Gary Groth took no crap from anybody. He was not one of these guys who said, "Well, he's not a co-creator. He co-created because he co-created." I am sorry, but I was on the side of Gary Groth with that, and I talked to him a few times. And you say what you want to about him, but he was really passionate about Kirby getting
Yes.
for what he created. I mean, passionate to the point that if he was talking to you and you were against him, you might get a spray of spit in your face when he started talking.
Yeah, Gary Groth did a lot for Jack. I
Yeah,
mean, he helped him out a lot in the Comics Journal and
because
a lot
nobody
of
in
the
the
comics
business was
press.
doing it.
No, except of course other people in the
Well,
business. Yeah.
Mark Evanier was a proponent, but he wasn't very vocal until the thing got rolling, and then he did. And if you ask Greg Theakston, um, Greg Theakston is kind of one of those guys who he early on didn't want to start trouble, but then I got to know him a little bit, and yeah, he he built up an immunity to criticizing to people criticizing Stan Lee about that. He would say, let's leave Stan out of the equation. Let's just give Jack his stuff back because he did it, and he knew that because he was an artist. He worked for Kirby, but he was also a fine artist, and he did a lot of paintings, and he did a lot. He did a series, like a men's adventure series called Rat Bastards. Look it up. He did all the covers, and I told him one time that I did a Green Arrow painting, and I said I stole this fire explosion from one of your Rat Bastards book, and he sent me back a note that said I stole it from Frazetta.
That's Theakston.
Yep, he passed away several years ago though.
Yeah, remember he came on the show once.
Yeah,
He came and he joined us
yeah.
on the
He,
show
he
one time.
he sent me a message. He said, "Here's the number. Call me here." It was like I waited like a half hour because I didn't want to really bother him, but I kind of did because you have to. And I called him. He answered the phone by saying, "Who is this?" I said, "This is Claude. You told me to call you." He goes, "Oh, okay, Claude. How's it going?"
Yeah, well, then like a year or two after that, and I was at Dragon Con, I walked up, started talking to him, and I remember I mentioned it. I don't know if you were there with us there that year or not. I mentioned it, thanking him for being on the show. He says, "Yeah, when are you gonna have me back on?" I'm like, sure, I'd love to have you back on. And it never materialized,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
And it's weird because Greg Theakston inked a lot of people. He inked Steve Ditko, and he inked Steve Ditko on. It was a Thunder Agent story when somebody else was doing it. I think it might have been that Wally Woods Thunder Agents book. Um, I'm trying to think. It was the Raven, maybe as a backup story.
yeah,
And I asked him, "Did you get to keep any of those pages?" He just wrote me back two words: "No, period, wish, period." So,
yeah,
but he did. He knew everybody, and he was one of those guys who, while he didn't get down in the dirt and fight with people about that, well, he did later, but that was a totally different thing. While he didn't get down and dirty with these people, he knew everything that was going on.
yeah. Well, at that at that very con in 1986, folks, I got two things. I got actually three things signed. I don't have a picture of one of them, but I remember I bought this book a couple of years earlier. It's kind of like it was not really it's magazine format, but on cardstock. It's not the. This, of course, I think it was by Greg Theakston. 50 Years of American Comic Art for Jack Kirby. It's called. This was volume 1 of the Jack Kirby Treasury, and
Yeah.
if you'll see here, I had him sign page 1. And then at the con, we were waiting for Jack Kirby and his wonderful wife Roz to exit lunch. It was on the Sunday of the con, and we caught them. The other thing I got them to sign was Fantastic Four. My opening splash page of Fantastic Four number 51. I don't have a picture of that. I'm trying. I gotta dig it out and find it eventually. Anyway, but so he signed these, and of course we met them out there, and they had a pretty big portfolio, and he was selling some original art. I don't have a picture of one of the pages that I gave to some. I don't know who that jerk is. I gave it to some weasel.
I got a picture of it. I got the actual page. But I think you gave it to me for my birthday or something.
This is the page that I bought from him from Sandman number 5. I forget what page it is. And he signed it for me in this in panel 3 in the big middle panel. And of course, I don't remember exactly which issue of Captain America that the other page was from that you have.
It was after the bicentennial stuff.
Right, but it was somewhere towards the later mid 70s run. But it's an original Kirby page, so it's special. Yeah. And anyway, we're proud of it. And so that was 1986, and it was just, I mean, I certainly didn't think we'd ever meet him again after that. But then came 1990.
Yeah.
I was just turned 26 years old. August, Atlanta Fantasy Fair, which was at the CNN Center and the World something or other convention hall center, whatever the hell that was.
Basically the precursor to Dragon Con, right?
Yeah. It was right before it was called Dragon Con, I think. But I don't think there was a Dragon Con at the time, but there maybe was. But this was Atlanta Fantasy Fair. I know that much.
Yeah.
And there we were. Jack Kirby had been there hanging out the whole con at Mike Thibodeau's table.
Mm-hmm.
The artist for Last of the Viking Heroes. And obviously a good friend of the Kirbys. And just imagine, man, Jack Kirby is just, it wasn't even like he didn't have a table himself, like he was sitting down
walking around.
Yeah, he was just sitting, but he was hanging behind the table. He was not signing autographs. Roz had even told us that, she's usually been trying to say no to these cons because of his health and such. But Jack answered the phone. She was out at the groceries, and Jack can't say no to anybody.
Yeah.
And so I had this picture taken with him, or like maybe the cleaned up version. Let's see here. What's that? Oh, sorry, it's Mark texting me. I don't know which. We're gonna try to clean it up one day. See someone trying to brighten it up a little, but anyway, here's Jack. I've always said Jack has my back, because if you look at my ridiculously, well, I wish it was that small now. My large back. There's Jack Kirby with a very nice airbrush painting on the back of that shirt, painted by some guy named Minimus.
I never heard of him. And yeah, that says the real living legend, which caused Julie Schwartz to walk up there and look at it and goes, "Hey, what about the other living legend, huh?" Point to himself.
Yeah. At this con, I mean, all 3 of the days, whatever it was, 3 days we were there. Okay, Steve, I will. I'll send. He said if I send him the original, he could clean it up. Mike, my good buddy Retro Blasting, Michael Frenchman asked me to do that once for a while. I forgot to send it to him, but I will do that, sir. Wow, it would be nice to get that done. And of course, like I said, as you can see, Minimus's picture's right here. He's his picture's a lot clearer than mine. So, wasn't he a young fellow back then, Minimus?
Who? Jack Kirby or
no? You and Jack Kirby.
I don't see it.
And me.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, that picture has been touched up too. Like I said, I had a it's not Photoshop. It was like a knockoff called Photo Suite, and it was really easy to work with. And this has been gone for years, so I was able to fix it up, so it looked like something. But that room was dark. You had fluorescent lights, but if you didn't have a flash on your camera, that's what you got. and my flash the worked, but the batteries were weak, so it didn't matter a bit that the flash. I go click, and then here's the flash. Let's go, man. Come on, let's wake up. Let's boom. There we are. How was that? I don't know. It's like there's no light in here at all.
Yep. Well, anyway, Jack Kirby and Ross Kirby were at Mike Thibodeau's table behind the whole time. He wasn't signing like the normal, like a lot of artists do or anything like that. They were just hanging out there and meeting people and talking to us, and we got to spend hours talking to him. This was not like the last time where you had to get in line and get an autograph.
Yeah, he was untouchable that first time. First of all, because we were both in awe and didn't want to bother him. This time we said, let's bother him.
Let's bother him. Yeah. And he had no compunction about just sitting there talking, about 10 minutes talking to him, and you feel like you're his grandkid or something. He's telling you all these stories. He told us all kind of stories about, and again, he's had to have told these stories 100 times. But the thing is, he's such a storyteller and a creative person in real life, that if he gets a chance to tell a story, it's just he's going to do it. And I think he liked doing it, and he realized that every kid who loves his work, and we were kids, we get, we're getting to hear stories from Jack Kirby. It's unreal.
We got to hear him cuss too. So
got to hear him cuss.
What did he say about? You asked him if he saw Die Hard.
No, Total Recall.
Total Recall. You remember what he said about that?
He said it kicked my ass or something like that.
That movie kicked my ass.
Yeah.
And we asked him, I don't remember you or me, but we asked him if you were doing Captain America Day today with the like this Middle East tension going on, how would you do it? He said, I'll start off with a splash page with a hand writing a letter and saying, listen, you American bastards, you come over here, we'll kick your assholes all the way back to America. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was, and he told us some stories about Yahtzees at the Marvel offices back after they created Captain America, that were threatening both him and Joe Simon, his partner, and just various stuff. And one of the things I'll never forget about that, because we got to see him a couple of times. Dad, man, what's up, buddy? One of the things that struck me, I don't know what day it was, whether it was the first day or the second day, is remember the days of quarter boxes? Well, yeah. And we've been hitting the quarter boxes pretty good, and they got a big ton of various counts, but a bunch. Remember, we were getting Jack Kirby, Jimmy Olsen issues for a quarter.
Yes, I recall.
And we had a bunch of them. I'm not talking about the one that went out the window. And anyway, I walked up to Roz. We talked several times. I just showed her, hey, look what I got. I was just showing her that I got a bunch of Kirby comics. So look, I got a bunch of Jack's comics. And he was talking to someone else, and no one was talking to Roz. And she starts to take the stack out of my hand and says, well, look, he's not doing any autographs for people, but I'll take this up to the room and I'll get Jack to sign them for you. I wanted to cry because, his arm wasn't in the best of shape. His hand wasn't.
Well, I still have a question about that.
That's what happened. And I said, oh, no, that's okay. I got his autograph, and thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, they were handing out cards that he had already autographed.
Right, but I'm saying she was going to take it up to the room.
Yeah.
Get him to sign them.
She was so protective of him, though, that wrist brace that he wore might have been her way of protecting him from people who just wanted 30 books at a time signed, because I have seen people do that. A guy walks up at Gil Kane's table. I'm standing there just taking pictures. I'm just watching him draw. Kid goes up and he lays a stack of comic books down. And Gil Kane looks up at him the way he looked up at me, like I said, over the top of his glasses. He said, young man, I'm not going to make a career out of signing your comics. Pick 3.
Yeah, correct. Well, and then, of course, there is the adventure that we had with Jack. We had an adventure with Jack. You remember that? When we escorted Jack to the big whatever that panel was, that event or some kind of event that was going on that night, and I walked through the crowd and he followed, and you said follow him.
Oh God, I wish we had video back then.
Yeah, Jack needed to be at some
It was
kind of
like
ceremony or something.
was it a costume contest?
It was some
Because
kind of ceremony. I think maybe
some,
I used to see the judge, or I don't know
is that the
exactly.
one where the magician came out and he did this
I don't.
blast?
I
It
don't
was
remember. All I know is
some,
Jack had to be at the thing,
yeah, I think that's what it was.
and he was in a hurry, and it was very crowded, and I just plowed the way through for him.
Yeah,
And you said, "Follow him. He'll follow that
yeah,
big bastard or whatever." And that made me feel good that I was like being the thing, driving through a bunch of people. And then later, uh, at the event, emceeing the event was, of course, the great Julius Schwartz.
yeah.
Julius Schwartz announced Jack Kirby, and he announced him like this. He said, "Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman. Bill Finger and Bob Kane created Batman, and then and Jack Kirby did everything else."
Yep.
And Jack, of course, being a humble guy, would probably bristle at that a little bit and say there are plenty of other people who did a lot of other things, but it just puts it into perspective. Yes, there are many other wonderful creators in comics history, of course, but it comes to scope, though. I mean, it works. Julius Schwartz was. I don't think he was engaging in that much hyperbole. I think he was, it was true.
Yeah. Well, they went back a long way together, but I remember talking to Jack Kirby. He didn't like modern comics. He wasn't impressed by it at all.
But it wasn't mean about him either.
No, he wasn't. When he got up on the stage, and he said, "There's a lot of good stuff being put out, so you really ought to go out there and get the new stuff because it's really got some really talented guys." Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he would never attack any of it.
No,
either.
it was basically a business that he built. He still wanted it to do well.
Yeah, and it was just gracious, and they were just such nice people. I remember Jack. I was very. I put it to you like this: politically, he and I probably did not see eye to eye that much, but he. I remember I made a comment or something about that got kind of political. And he laughed at it, and he made a joke back that kind of let me know that even though we probably didn't disagree, that it was kind of okay. And I'm not going to go into what the specifics of it was because I would have to remember that, and I don't. But it was something, I was a dumb kid saying something stupid. But he laughed at it, and he made a joke about it, and he just seemed like the kind of guy, even though he was very passionate about his beliefs, Jack was, and Jack had his politics, by the way.
Yep.
He, it didn't matter. He was tolerant of all views and things like that. Jack, of course, something that was very important in all of his stories and everything. So he's a special fellow.
I forget who it was, either Theakston or Mark Evanier, who said he really hated Nixon. And I'm thinking,
he did hate. Yeah, he did.
That's safe because even people who were on that side hated Nixon.
Yeah. He was.
But he didn't make a big deal out of it.
No.
He didn't care for Billy Graham. And what was Billy Graham in the New Gods?
Glorious Godfrey.
Glorious Godfrey was Billy Graham.
Yeah. He was he was like definitely an old school.
Yeah.
Democrat of the time. You'd have to say. Again, we're not getting political here. We're just saying Jack, but he was. But
he didn't cram it down your throat, and like I said, he was a storyteller, and the story was more important than anything else.
Yep. That was the thing, and he was,
the way most people talked about him. Theakston told the story about how concentrated he was on ideas and stories, and he said he kind of lived in another world than the rest of us. At one point, they had to turn in his driver's license because he's driving the car down the street, and he ended up on the sidewalk because he was building a story in his head, and he got distracted by it. So that's it, no more. Theakston started driving him everywhere.
Yeah.
He told it. I think I've told the other story on here before, but why not? I'll tell it again. Theakston is sitting at the table Ross is doing the bills or doing some kind of paperwork or something, and she just looks up at Dixon, who's across the table, and says, "Hey, want to see something funny?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." And she goes, "Jack!" Down from his cellar, you hear, "What? Come get me an orange!" So you hear him trudging up the stairs. Thum, 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 thum. He goes over to the fridge. He looks at the first shelf, looks at the second shelf, looks at the third shelf. That's where the oranges are. He gets the orange. He walks over to the table and he puts it on the table in front of her. And he goes back downstairs. She says, "You want to see something really funny?" And Dixon goes, "Yeah, okay." "Jack! What? Come get me an orange!" He goes up, up the stairs, goes over to the fridge, looks at the first shelf, looks at the second shelf, looks at the third shelf, finds an orange, walks over, puts it on the table, right next to the other orange he had just gotten her. He looked at her, he said, "What are you, a wise guy?"
Oh man, he was so busy in his own little world there, like you said. By the way, the great Julius Schwartz was a pretty cool dude himself. I got his autograph on his book.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, nice fellow.
Here's another thing I brought up to you today, but I'm going to say it here because this is Monday Night Mark C. Mark C, or as we do him, Stephen Charay, we were at a comic shop on the edge of New Orleans. Neil Adams was the guest, and we're talking like we're talking now. Me and him were talking about all the comic book artists that we've met, and I wish I'd met this guy. And this kid walks over to us. This is the first, like, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Suddenly, I'm an old man because this kid comes over, and he says, "Wow, I'm so jealous of you guys." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you little jerk. What? What?" He goes, "I'm just jealous of all the legends you guys have met." And me and Steven was like, "Look, I guess we have. We hadn't really thought
Yep.
about it. It's like, I'm so glad to meet Gil Kane. Hey, Gene Colan was over here. Oh, Jack Kirby." And we're just talking about it like, hey, that was a nice point in our life. This freaking kid over here who's like maybe 15.
Yeah.
And when he says that, I'm just jealous of all of it. And I pointed over. I said, "But Neil Adams is right over there."
Well, got one, yeah, but
Yeah, go get you some.
There are a few that we'll never get to meet now, that I wanted to meet that I'll never get to. We met. You met probably more than I have. We met a lot of them together, and there's just some, for whatever reason, didn't get close enough, or
they didn't do cons. Like Gary Gamble lived in Fort Worth.
He was at that con.
He was at and he had a table like outside of the hall. And I'm going over there. It's like I saw his stuff, and it said something like that. It said Gary Gamble. I went, "Oh my God, Gary Gamble!" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "You're selling your art?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, I'm done with it. So I bought basically pencil roughs that if you saw them, you go, "Oh, that's pretty good." I bought one from Indiana Jones, and I bought one that was like a 8x10 mock-up cover for Wonder Man. I don't know if it ever got printed. Finally found the Indiana Jones comic, but this is what we did back in the day. We were hesitant to let go of money. Gil Kane's Green Lantern sketch he did for me was $20. I'm going, "Oh my God, yeah, I wish I'd brought more money. I wanted," and I had like $400 on me. I wish I had brought more money so that I could at least get one or two more. But being the cheapskate that I was, I got the one. I should have gotten like at least a couple more. And like an idiot, the first thing I said, "Hey, what would you like to have me draw for you, young man?" I said, "Green Lantern." And he goes, "Okay, Green Lantern it is."
Eric K, what's up, buddy? And Dave and Captain Tom Wurzbach, welcome.
Continue. Everybody is here. So I was talking to Kerry Gamble about this stuff, and I said, I want some of this. And he goes, "Well, everything's for sale." All right. I said, "I'm dreading it. How much is this one? The big one that I still have. I'm not throwing any of this stuff away. $4. The small 8x10, like quick sketch of a fake Wonder Man cover, $2. Another one where I'm going, I don't know if I can afford another $6 for this, but I should have bought everything there. That's not the worst original art story I've ever heard. We know a guy named Scott who owns a comic shop in Mississippi. He was at Dragon Con one year, and the widow of Walt Kelly was there, and she had a stack of original Walt Kelly Pogo pages.
Wow.
Asked him. She said, "Yeah, you can have the whole stack for $300." And he goes, "Let me go to the ATM." So when somebody says, "I'm going to go to the ATM," you don't know if they're coming back. So a guy came in the interim and bought everything because he had the cash on him, and that's like he's a big Pogo fan, big Walt Kelly fan, and it was the woman selling things, it was Selby Kelly, his widow, and it's like he just you talk to him about that today. It's still a big regret of his. It's like us, like we should have actually gone over to Will Eisner when we saw him standing on the corner trying to cross the street. We should have escorted him and his wife across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking right at him. Like, that's Will Eisner. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
let's not bother him. I don't
We
want to
didn't
scare him.
know. We didn't think that when they wouldn't be around forever. And now there's almost nobody. I mean, it was all throughout the night. It's a big regret of mine is we have a good buddy. His name is Wes. And in the 90s, he was always going to Heroes Con in Charlotte and come back, tell me all these comic creators, man, you got to go with me one of these days. I said, yeah, I would love to. And I always wanted to. And I'd always be jealous. For whatever reason, I was not able to go. And that was when almost everybody in the biz, other than San Diego, that was when all the comic people went to that one, and I never got to go. And now, of course, he went this year, and he had a good time with himself. Now, there's nobody left. There's like maybe 2 or 3 people that I have not met that I would like to meet. Here's the short list of people that are still alive that I would like to meet. Sal Buscema, yeah. Jim Starlin, I don't think I met him. He met Starlin and hung out with Starlin. Let's see here. John Romita I've met, but he's still alive at least. But
I met Marv Wolfman at Dragon Con one year.
Yeah, I met Marv.
And I met him at Worldcon before that, like between issue 11 and 12 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And when I heard him talk, he's apparently had a voice coach since then. I said, I got a friend who's saying that you're going to kill off Brainiac. And he goes, why? He sounded like Arnold Horshack. He said, why would I kill him? I created him. Like, okay.
Well, so met him, yeah, but I'm trying to think of some of the ones.
Roy Thomas.
Roy Thomas, we met him though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the ones we haven't met that are actually still alive, and it's a short list. Because we met at least Grell's still alive, we met him. Man, it gets depressing after that. I was like trying to think. I mean, you know what, Hungry Boy, by the way, I may have met you at a con and just don't know because I don't know your identity.
Wait, is Hungry Boy Rob Liefeld?
Hey,
I think Hungry Boy is Rob Liefeld. I think that's what's going on here.
Good to see you, Dad, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. I'm trying to think.
Hungry Boy's going to curse my name now.
Wow. Well, don't call him Vince Coletta or Don Perlin or anything.
Hungry for Vince Coletta art.
Yeah, that's him saying. Don't blame him.
I was like, he's like,
boy, not me.
Change his name to throwing up from seeing Vince Coletta art.
He might do that now. Oh, yeah. Wow. F you, man. Wow.
This is what I say when people feel confident enough to tell me to go fuck myself. That means we have just become best friends.
I draw good feet. That's good to know.
Yeah, because he has feet. That's what I've always said about Liefeld. Doesn't he ever look down?
Well,
he looks at a boot. Put a boot in front of your face. Put a tennis shoe in front of your face and draw that.
He can't draw teeth either. He lost like about 2 billion teeth in somebody.
Oh yeah, we were at a comic shop and they had one Liefeld book, and a guy was gritting his teeth, and I said something. I think I said to Carl, the owner of the shop, said, "How many teeth in a human head?" He's 32. I said, "Okay." I pictured this. Rob Liefeld looks over at like Mark Silvestri or somebody. He goes, "How many teeth in a human head?" They go, 32. So he goes 32 on the top and 32 on the bottom. That's a Rob Liefeld mouth.
Yeah. Well, he draws about, oh man, I don't know. Well, how big is a human chest? So.
Oh, it's Captain America had boobs.
Yeah. Yeah, well. So, You're not Don Perlin. You never will be. Hungry Boy. Don't worry.
Oh, I insulted Don Perlin online one time, and I didn't know it. I didn't know it was him.
There you go. Hungry to be the bastard offspring of Leafield, inked by Coletta, the Ultimate Comics Nightmare. Wow, that's a tongue
Jesus.
twister there.
The Sandman will keep you in his realm forever.
Hey, what would be the ultimate weird, non-comic? Let's see, Don Perlin, inked by Win Mortimer,
George Tuska.
George. Don't know. D-Bud's a Tuska fan because he's an Iron Man fan. I'm sorry, George Tuska, inked by Jack Abel, would be a nightmare. Wouldn't you agree with that? At least, D-Bud. He's a Tuska fan. We are. Look, you all know my favorite company, my favorite publisher, Two Morrows. I got a echo going on. I don't know which you got your headset off or what.
My head is set off. In fact,
is your headset? Are you wearing your headset? Because it just started.
Oh, I don't know. Echo. My wife uses this thing a lot, and she's probably broken it. Oh. I blame everything on her, even though she saved my life 14 years ago.
For Tuska, inked by Johnny Craig. There you go. Starlin inked by Alred Barf. Oh, by the way, Starlin inked by Steve Mitchell was a problem too. I was just reading an old DC Comics Presents with that. Why is it all of a sudden echoing back there? I hope is anyone hearing the echo? If it's just me hearing it, fine. I'll live with it.
I can't.
So give me a sound check, everybody, and you wouldn't be able to. Don't work that way. So
Starlin inked by Allred Barf.
Yes, Hungry Boy is not an Allred. He does not like Mike Allred.
Well, stop playing with it.
Don't worry about it. So, someone let us know. I mean, if they're not hearing it in the chat, I don't care.
Oh.
No echo here. Good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll get used to it.
It's your brain.
Speaking, so when it comes to Kirby, I guess this should be a topic for a bigger discussion. But since we've already talked a little bit about the some stories and meeting them and everything, who's the best Kirby inker? Who's the worst Kirby inker? And I mean, I love Sinnott, but I know Joe Sinnott's my favorite. But I get in trouble with Steve every time he hates Sinnott. He's wrong about Sinnott, but that's okay. Who's your favorite Kirby inker?
God, who was it's back in the day?
Don Perlin. I'm just kidding.
Don Perlin was a fantastic human being. I'm sorry I insulted him.
Besides Vinny.
No, I'm thinking like when they did the Hulk together, did Kirby ink Ditko or did Ditko ink Kirby?
Inks Kirby.
That was really good. That was a good matchup, but it was like a one-off. And we never saw it again.
That's true. Wrightson was inked by Dave Sim once. Let's see here.
Kirby ink.
I can hear a slight echo. Please don't shoot the messenger. Alec Baldo says Captain. I could. So everyone else says they can't. D-Bud says Sinnott followed by Chick Stone. I'm with very good. See, Ditko didn't do it that much though.
No, it was like that once, and it was odd. It was beautiful, and it was like you wanted more, but you never got it. Didn't Bill Everett ink Kirby on Thor
a couple times? Yeah.
When after like the mob broke Vince Coletta's fingers or something.
It was great.
He was out for a long time, but Bill Everett. Oh my God.
Guagnar. Whoa, I didn't know that. Okay, here we go. Guagnar says, I met Jack Kirby at the 1991 San Diego Comic-Con. There was no lineup for him because McFarlane and Lee and Leafield and Miller were the big names that year. Well, good. That's sad that they would go see those guys instead of Jack, of course, because those guys. However, I'm glad you got to meet him. That's fantastic, Wagner.
That was like when we went to Dallas Fantasy Fair in '94, I think. They had the Image guys set up, and there was a freaking cattle line over there, and there was dozens of people over there. But we get in this line to see like Gene Colan and Gil Kane and these other guys. And from down at the Image table, who comes running down just to say hi to the legends and talk to them? Jim Valentino. He kept leaving his table and running down there to talk to him. And you see like freaking Silvestri or somebody yelled at him, told him to get back down there because somebody wanted his autograph. He'd run back down there and do whatever they said, and then he'd run back down to where the older guys were.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that, Wagner. I'm glad you got to meet him there. Wally Wood inking Kirby was fantastic on Sky Masters of the Space Force.
That was another one of those miracles. What was it? Sky Masters of the Space Force and Challengers of the Unknown.
I don't know who inked them on. Wood inked them on Challengers too?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't think he inked them at DC, but all right. Well, somewhat was it? Hungry Boy says his favorite is Mike Royer. I can see that. I mean, Royer was great, and he didn't mess Kirby up. But didn't you used to like to say that Coletta that Kirby's the only inker that Coletta couldn't ruin?
That he couldn't destroy. Now he didn't serve him well, but you could still see Kirby in those drawings. Now he had those little tiny little hatch lines on there, and no, it wasn't as good as it could have been. With like Mike Royer, or even like, look, you got two extremes. You got
this is Royer right here.
You got Vince Coletta on the thin line side, and you have D. Bruce Berry on the thick line side.
Yeah,
I thought D. Bruce Berry, he didn't destroy it, but I've heard people talk about how they're so reverent towards Jack Kirby's pencils, they were afraid to get something wrong. And if you look at Hunger Dogs, there was like a hand. No, that was
Theakston.
Greg Theakston painted it. There was a hand or a foot that was backwards. He inked it backwards. He did not go in and erase it. He did it the way Jack Kirby drew it.
Wow. Well, that's reverence for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
It's like I was saying about Jim Valentino. They knew where their jobs came from. This guy was the founder of the feast, so to speak. And they paid him homage. And then what do we hear from Jim Lee? Oh, he waited until after Kirby died to say nice things about him. I don't know if he did before, but he didn't make a big deal out of it.
Who, Jim Lee?
Yeah, Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee, if you recall, they were on the Bob Newhart show. It's called Bob, and they both won these, whatever the award was called on the show, and Jack Kirby and Bob Kane and
Sergio Aragonés was there.
Yeah,
Aragonés.
He actually had a line, and I think Jack Kirby said something like he did a thanks thing, and that was the one where Bob said, you're going to get everybody mad if you leave somebody out, so I'm just going to go up there and say thank you. He goes up there and says thank you, and then was it Bob Kane that came up next, and he said, I was going to, I thought I was sorry I'm up here late. I thought the last guy would thank a lot of people, and everybody got mad at Bob, but that was Kane up there doing his line, thinking he was Charlton Heston or somebody. But Kirby and Ross both sitting there.
Yeah. Well, the Image guys were nice to it when they helped Kirby a little bit. They were nice to him.
Oh yeah.
Because
I think you did have people who didn't, after a while, they didn't just think of it as a job or a bargaining chip for a better pay or something like that. Especially Eric Larson, and like him or hate him, Eric Larson was a big fan of Kirby. Still is. Far as he stole his style from Kirby. So did Rich Buckler, but then Buckler was one of those guys he could draw like anybody. But Eric Larson can only draw like Jack Kirby. And it was a standing order. Any new artist who came in, they go in, they talk to Jim Shooter, and they said, Jim Shooter pulls out some of these Kirby pages and said, draw like this.
Yeah, I saw a video someone put up on Twitter the other day with John Buscema saying we all learned from Jack. All of us, every one of us. There's not anyone that didn't. And everybody tried to be Jack. Everyone was told to be Jack, and we learned from him. Every one of us. Because when it comes to the superhero genre in particular, no one was better.
Mm-hmm.
And John Buscema didn't really like the superhero thing as much, but he liked the job, but he preferred Conan. The only superhero that he liked to do was Thor. But so yeah, and he knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Hey, Buckler was instructed to do. Yeah, and by the way, to be fair, just like Buckler's also drawn like Neil. Yeah, you're right.
He did.
Oh boy. Yeah, and that's fine.
Remember the problem he got into with Comics Journal because they said they said he was ripping off Jack Kirby, and
he did rip off some panels.
Well, they did show the side-by-side comparison, but it still went to court, and I think they dragged it out for a long, long time, and people were like Michael Fleischer was suing Comics Journal, Rich Buckler was suing him, and then when you hold the things right next to each other, it looks like he's tracing it, and you can't deny it. I mean, you can get pissed off at Gary Groth because Keith Giffen stealing from like an Argentinian or
Venezuelan whatever
artist,
right. That's right.
And nobody was supposed to know about that, but along comes Gary Groth and goes, here's a bunch of crap that I found in South America, and because some of their artists back then were from South America. I think Barreto and Garcia Lopez.
A whole bunch of them were.
Yeah.
But see, the thing about when he took over Fantastic Four, of course they're telling him to be Kirby. I mean, and it was fine. He had Joe Sennett. Another thing, Joe Sennett made everybody look like the Kirby FF run because he started like on FF 44.
Romita didn't last too long. I think he was kind of embarrassed that he was having to ape Kirby style, but it didn't matter because Sennett was inking him, and it was kind of a smooth transition. And by the time you got to John Buscema, it was acceptable that somebody else was drawing him, and he really did a good job. He stayed on Fantastic Four for a long time.
Yeah, and you know what, Hungry Boy, like you said, choosing is a ripoff. Following instruction is following boss's orders. Editor at fault here. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And I have look. I actually have no problem with when he's on FF and them trying to make it look as close to Kirby as possible. Even the John Buscema stuff before Rich Buckler.
Even Perez started
Sennett make him look like it. Yeah. Well, the common factor, the common denominator is Sennett. He's inking John Buscema. He's inking then Buckler after that. Then Perez. Then Keith Pollard. Then John Byrne for a while. So he made that book. He gave it a Kirby look to all of it, with some differences, and I love all that stuff. Apollomedes Minion and Pooper, what's up? How's the pepperoni doing?
Romita redrawing Kirby faces hurt me, though. It did. It hurt everybody.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Anybody redrawing a Kirby face sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just why. I've never had it explained to me properly for why they kept doing that.
From Jack Kirby's own mouth, he said, I had to make sales. So I'm guessing he had bills to pay, he had a family to raise, he had a wife to take care of, he was buying a house or whatever, and then he moved across the country. So he had to make sales. A lot of these guys didn't really think of it as art, but if you look at some of Kirby's stuff that he did later and kind of like on his own, that guy was an awesome artist. The Gods portfolio that he did, a lot of his stuff, pencil stuff early on looked a lot like what the old comic masters like Bern Hogarth and Hal Foster and Alex Raymond. They were doing that kind of a muscular style, and his shading was just as good as them. But he got to where he had a certain style that he could churn the stuff out, and it was not bad. But bad Kirby is still better than a lot of good guys. But
yep, Hungry Boy, that's right. I know what you're saying, Hungry Boy. I'm totally with you. It's just I don't mean to sound starchy. Just being protective of good fellow art, flying monkeys working for the witches. Yeah, and look, how many times have I said it? You've heard me say it. Hungry Boy, I say it all the time here. Both the big two are built on the blood of the creatives.
Yeah.
Both of those companies are built on blood. That of creative people
But
that so few of them ever, almost none of them got a proper recompense, and most of them got none at all.
yeah, some of them just got like a page rate and didn't even get their pages back. And then you found out they're giving pages out to people visiting the Marvel bullpen or whatever.
The few that even got anywhere close to a couple of crumbs for what they've done didn't live to see it. Just some of them, in the case of Kirby's and some of the Siegel family,
Yeah.
family did. Those guys were gone before they got
Yeah.
anything. They never got what they truly deserve.
But that
So
would have been important to Jack because that's what he was working for.
he would have been glad what happened for them. He would have been happy about what happened for them in 2013, even though it still wasn't enough. But that not for me.
No, it's never going to be enough. He died when he was 75 years old, and
like
to us
72.
today, that doesn't seem very old because you've got actors and people like that living to be in their 90s,
70,
75,
something
76.
like that. He was born in 1917, died in 1994. So I'm bad at math. I do know that this year he would have been 105.
Well,
Yeah. And it would have been great if he had lived much longer.
Joe Simon, I think, lived to be 90 something, and
Something
he
like that.
actually
got to see Captain America.
Yeah, he actually got to see Captain America,
and then passed not too many months after that. So yeah. And the thing is, Ditko lived long enough to see a lot of the Spider-Man movies, but just didn't watch them, didn't care.
Yeah, he just did. I think he still had a bad taste in his mouth. But one of the things that I like to know about Steve Ditko was he never quit.
No, he
had an office in New York.
How he was doing it. I don't know how he made ends meet.
He might have been doing like these little what do you call them, tract things.
He was doing he was selling, I guess, like a subscription service in the sense that he was selling comics to fans, but not through distributors or anything like that.
But I would, this is not Kirby, but it's Ditko. I would ask everybody to go to YouTube and look up In Search of Steve Ditko, starring Jonathan Ross and eventually Neil Gaiman, where Jonathan Ross talks about his love for comic books. Jonathan Ross, in case you didn't know, was a big talk show host in England, and then he quit his show and Graham Norton took over. But then Jonathan Ross came back and did another one. But In Search of Steve Ditko has been on YouTube forever. And it's him talking about his love for comics when he was a kid. He mostly loved Spider-Man. So he did manage to go to America. And he did manage to track down, first of all, Stan Lee. And Stan Lee's lawyer was stuck in traffic. So Jonathan Ross got Stan Lee to say he considered Steve Ditko co-creator of Spider-Man. And he even said, I think you're getting me to say something I'm not really comfortable saying. And he goes, it's all right. That's how he talks. It's all right.
Hungry Boy? Yeah, as I said, I won't talk about the pain I saw in Mr. Mike Frederick Brothers' face, or Gary Frederick's face on occasion. I'm sure he's talking about because of the creation of Ghost Rider. Yeah. But Kirby, damn, guts me like a fish. I hear you, man. And he says, if there had been no Kirby, I'd not bothered to consider training for comics, much less fight to break in. And I think there are probably a lot of people that would say the same thing from that era and many other eras.
I would ask Hungry Boy, since we don't really know who he is, and he is kind of an insider, but he won't tell us because we don't deserve to know. Anyway, Jim Shooter was a company man. John Byrne was a company man, but Jim Shooter was the man in charge of the company. Now, he was telling all these people, do this, do it this way, don't ask for any more, your work for hire. Marvel is the author of this book, not you. Here's your paycheck, go home and shut up. Well, much later, after he was kicked out of Marvel Comics, boy, he's the creator's champion now. He tried to get Kirby more money. He really tried. You don't know. And Jim Shooter was like, I really love all these guys. And then when he became like the editor-in-chief at Valiant, and
Mhm.
Bob Layton got in, and Barry Windsor Smith got in, and then Jim Shooter got a taste of his own medicine. Sorry, Jim, we don't need you here anymore. We know you started the company, but get lost. And then it became kind of became Bob Layton's company, and then it fell apart because Shooter was, if he was nothing else, he was a good organizer. He was a good businessman and really good editor.
Ran Marvel into the ground, in my opinion, in the
Yeah,
'80s. But Uncle Boy says Gaiman talking about Ditko was funny, ironic, but considering Ditko's philosophy, which was actually very pro Ayn Rand. He was an objectivist. He and Alan Moore both talked about him, but still, even though they
yeah.
obviously weren't a fan of his philosophy, they were still respectful of Ditko. And Hunger Boy says, "No, you deserve to know, Minimus, but I fought for my royalties and I won't forego them." Well, hey, we understand that.
Yeah.
We really hear you, man. We
You're
understand. Bobby,
you're like
tell Minimus about my adoration for Shooter, please. Yes.
I understand what that means, but you're like Zorro, when the Zorro that nobody knew, and like, or the Lone
Hunger
Ranger. You're actually the Lone Ranger. Like, who was that
Boy
in that
is the Lone
band?
Ranger.
I don't know, but he left this silver comic. Hi,
Said
old Shooter, go to hell.
Shooter tried to make all comics look like the Hostess Twinkie ads. That's his
Yeah,
appreciation
yeah.
of creative spirit in comics. Yeah, I
He
mean,
was.
hey, what do you got against the new universe?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I like the way he got portrayed in Legends, a book that really, it was okay, but it was like a swipe at Marvel and their new universe. And remember that one guy that they
Yeah.
drew to look exactly like Shooter with the Star Brand
In
outfit
Legends
on?
by Byrne, you mean?
He said, I will create a new universe. And then he
Yeah.
blew his, I think Guy Gardner blew his hand off or something.
Yeah, the new universe, Jim. It didn't go to let's see, such scintillating titles as Starbrand and DP7 and
Kickers Inc. Was that
Kickers
Kick?
Inc. and
Okay.
Mercenary or whatever or something or
Mark.
Merc Squad or Merc. That's right.
I don't know.
Or Mark Hazard Merc or some kind of, I can't remember what it was. An NFL Super Pro. Just kidding. That wasn't in the that wasn't in the new universe.
See,
So
a lot of people hearing this have no clue, and they're the lucky ones.
yes, I didn't read any of that crap. But I was just at a stage at a young age in my time that I wanted something more challenging, and I dropped Marvel because it all just looked the damn same. And I dropped a lot of Marvel books at those times in the '80s and was buying mostly some of the better DC books and independent stuff. At that point, so many good things. My boy Captain Time Lord Spock, who's a big Howie Chaykin fan, but we don't hold that against him. He loved American Flag and a lot of those books. I didn't love that one, but I did love a lot of the other ones, like John Sable for a while, a good long while under Grell, and of course a lot of the other stuff. But we won't go into that now because we're talking Kirby. But that was Starbrand #1. Starbrand #1 was my first and last New Universe title. Well ago, Captain. I hear you, brother. Can't blame you there. Smurf Squad.
The local comic shop that I go to has a $5 box, and it has a lot of 50-cent boxes. But in the $5 box the other day, I couldn't resist it. I bought Speedball #1, Steve Ditko, and I'm looking at it and go, wow, Steve Ditko, he's not that bad at this late stage, but still, it's the company that screwed him. And
Yeah, but he had to go
did.
back. I mean, he did go
Yeah.
back to him for a while. Rom. He did Captain Universe. He did, But this is Jack. On the other hand, when he went back to Marvel in the mid '70s for a while, and then he got kind of, he just got out of there after going back for a little while, and then just
They
started
wanted
doing,
him. They wanted him on the Fantastic Four, and the most he would
yeah.
do is covers and that
And
what
what if, which
story.
wasn't really the FM, man.
No, but
Still,
he went back and he created the Eternals. So he wasn't out of juice yet, and they're still to this day using Kirby's ideas. And
yeah.
as far as anybody knows, it's a Disney Plus special event, the Eternals. Really? So they're, sorry, spoiler alert, they're all robots?
He went to Ruby Spears. He did they I know other people actually created Thundar, but he was working at he really created Thundar because it
He
was a
created
ripoff
the
of
style.
he created the style, he created a lot of the stuff for it, the concepts, and it was basically commandy. So I don't want to hear about
Uh-huh.
Steve Gerber. That's fine. A couple other guys, they that are like considered themselves to be creators of Thundar. They were totally ripping off Commandy. It was Kirby's.
Yeah.
All of it was. I mean, it was really good.
Even the freaking backgrounds that somebody else painted looked like Kirby backgrounds. I mean, he probably did some sketches and they went back and painted them because they would use them over and over again.
That's true. D-Bud Ditko did take over Machine Man from Kirby. That's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, there you go. But then he did. I've got that card set where he went to he did all those. Oh, I mean, he must have. He just seems so creative. He just created tons and tons of things for Ruby
Yep.
Spears that they never even used. But still,
Yeah, there
they
was
could have got one or two of them.
two card sets. I've got them, but I don't have that Star Wars card that he did. He did one Star Wars illustration.
I had that somewhere. I think I still have that one. And I had another one. Were there two sets?
Yep.
I don't know if I got both of them or not. I think I do. I have to go check. But I know I had that, and I had They did the one for like his Golden Age stuff, Pure Imagination.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did one that was pretty cool too. So yeah, the Kirby card sets. Remember those for sure. And yeah, I mean, so meeting the King of Comics, folks, was just again the two greatest geek experiences of my life. They rank at the top. Meeting Adam West, that first time I met Adam West is close to it. There's some other good ones, but
Yeah.
nothing touches the Kirby meetings. I mean,
Well,
there's a couple good ones though.
when I met Kane, I thought this can't get any better. And I went home and I lived my life, and then we heard about the King showing up.
Yep.
And it did get better. And here's my little Kane and Kirby story. When I was telling that kid, and Kane cut me off, I said, "This is how it went." Kid goes, "Who's Jack Kirby?" I said, "Who's Jack Kirby?" I said, "Jack Kirby is one of the greatest." And I got cut off. Gil Kane holds his hand up, looks at me, he goes, "Jack Kirby is the greatest comic book artist of all time." And I said, "I agree." Okay, so we went to where was the thing? Probably Atlanta, and I told Jack Kirby's wife about that, and she said, "Oh, that's so nice. They're such good people." Talking about Gil Kane and his wife, and I got to go back and at '94. That the last time I saw Gil Kane and his wife, I told him how nice Roz was about what they said about Jack, and they were just like that. It's like a bunch of it's a bunch of old people, and they've been married forever. I mean, Kane's wife was not his original wife. I don't know if they divorced or she died or whatever, but
good one, Steve.
Anyway, they've been married for a long time, but also they knew the Kirbys. They were friends. They didn't see each other all the time, but they knew them. And a compliment that I got to pass back and forth affected all of them.
You got to hand it to Steve for that one. Very, very Steve of you. I tried to meet Kane, but I wasn't able.
Hey, yeah. People will be telling that one for years. At least I will.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give him shin kicks. Give him the agonizer. Your agonizer, please. Not sure to think of that. I'm not sure what to think of that. Says, oh wow. Just out Johnny Carson to Johnny Carson says, oh wow, I don't know. Says his hungry boy there. Well, I'll tell you what. Trying to figure out what to do, some more Kirby shows to do for the end of the month. Next week, at the same Kirby time, same Kirby channel, we'll be reviewing FF number 51. Wednesday night, of course, we're set up for we'll talk about some obscure Kirby stuff. So if anyone has anything that they can think of, just let me know. So we will do it.
All right, all you dingbats of Danger Street
Danger Street.
fans.
But I wanted to show Hungry Boy. I know you saw this on Tweetra, but this came in today. I'm very happy about it. My new book that I know he's not Kirby, but he was not only a Kirby fan, but he was one of his peers. And Life and Art of Dave Cockrum.
Oh yeah.
I got the hardcover, limited edition hag cover, and it's pretty damn nice. Sorry, I don't know.
Dave Cockrum and like people like Barry Windsor Smith and Jim Starlin came along and revitalized that whole business and got me interested in stuff again. And they became the old men, and now a lot of them are gone.
Yeah. He was, again, another one taking way too early. Great artist. I guess I'm a little prejudiced towards his Legion of Superhero stuff, but I like his X-Men stuff, of course. Yeah,
Is that Futurians there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks like it to me. I don't think I had too many of those.
I don't think they made many of them.
No. But there's John Carter.
Yep.
Now, he only did like part of the art for the first issue, probably, but I don't know if this book shows it. It probably does. I can't, Tomorrow's sells these books, so I only show like little bits and pieces just to tell, because I love them so much. I know they don't want anyone putting them all over the internet. I don't do that. I do show, bits from them here and there. But he did that original Tyrannosaurus Aurora kit, the big one. He designed that. He used to work for it was an Aurora model.
Yeah.
And this talks about some of his. He apparently wrote a lot of letters.
Yeah.
To early DC comics.
A lot of those guys did. They wrote in and they weren't like being dumbasses. They were fanboys. Some of them had critiques. Some of them were just like gushing all over the place. But I'm trying to think. Did Steranko ever write a letter? I may have seen one.
Every now and then when I'm looking at some old comics letters pages, I always look at the names. Not just to find T.M. Maple, but just kind of to find, to find out, to see if there's any like a recognizable name.
Yeah.
And many a time, if I run across a name, I go, oh man, he wrote comics later. He drew comics later.
Mm-hmm.
Like your boy Bo Smith. I saw a couple letters of his recently.
Stephen Scott, Bo Smith.
That's right.
Buddy.
Yeah.
That's like he lives like I don't know, Virginia or West Virginia, someplace like that. But Bo's a redneck. He knows our friend Mitch Bird. He thinks Mitch Bird is like the greatest artist that he's ever worked.
They worked
with.
together, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been collecting fan letters with those names, Lobby. Really? I was trying to think. Of course, I've seen Chirp Busiek letters before. I've seen. I had a letter printed once. Did you ever have one printed? Yeah, I know you had printed in Cerebus.
Yeah, Cerebus number 86. It still haunts me. It was kind of crappy. It needed the editor needed to go through and like line some stuff out.
Mine was worse, but they have in fact, was it a couple of years ago, right after a friend of ours had passed. It wasn't too long after anyway. Another friend of a mutual friend of gave me an issue, Commandy number 29, I think it was, and that friend, who was named Stephen Barrington, had a letter printed in it.
Is that the
from Stephen Barrington in there?
The Mighty One reprint?
Yeah, no, it was not a reprint. It was a one with the Superman on the costume.
Oh, okay.
It was Commandy. I think it was 29.
Because they reprinted it later.
Oh, well, I don't think it was a
I
reprint.
think to give Kirby a break because
Oh,
he was
okay.
doing a bunch of fourth world stuff. And my favorite one at the
Ah,
time, I've had people tell me I'm stupid. I know what my favorite comic at DC at the time was Commandy.
yeah,
And apparently, I'm wrong. OMAC is
nothing wrong with
far
that.
more
Great
important.
comic.
Yeah. And
But
there's a Andre Norton novel called Armageddon 2150 AD, and the cover. I really don't know which came first. I would guess that on the Andre Norton book came first, but the cover has a guy on a raft with a destroyed New York in the background, and he's like paddling through it.
hmm. Well, they say, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I love Jack, so I'm going to believe him and give him the benefit of the doubt that Jack Kirby had said that this was like 19. What was Commandy? 1975,
73, 73.
73. So, okay, they claimed when he did that, that cover with the Commandy, the famous Commandy #1 cover, that he had never seen Planet of the Apes,
Yeah,
which is, I'm going, wow, such a famous movie. Jack liked movies, but I believe him. I mean, why would he lie? And he just, I don't know. Maybe he saw an image somewhere from it. I don't know, but it is very Planet of the Apes-ish.
yeah. Well, it's probably been in the public consciousness so much because he was always busy. There's uh, barely a time in his career when he wasn't drawing. You had other people like Bernie Wrightson had a dry spell, and I don't know why that was. I think he was doing stuff at Warren when he could have been working for either one of the big two, but he was
Mm,
really good at horror art, whether he was inking himself or somebody else was doing it. And like other people, like Kirby, like I said, Ditko had what people thought was a dry spell, but he was still working. He just wasn't working for Marvel or DC. He would you say he co-created Hawk and Dove, and
Ditko, yeah,
didn't Wally
with Steve
Wood
Skates or something.
ink him on some of that stuff?
Hawk and Dove. I don't know. I don't think so.
Hmm.
It's pissable.
It's visible,
Yeah.
but uninvisible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's
Um,
another thing. Companies will take these characters that have been done years ago, and they'll act like, "Oh, here's our brand new take on Hawk and Dove. Oh, Dove is a woman now." Well, that's not how Dove was envisioned. Dove was like the peacenik kid, and Hawk was his brother Hank. Don and Hank Hall. Get it? Dove, Don. Hank Hawk.
oh,
Such
yeah.
imagination.
The first series you ever bought, Debug, was Beware the Creeper by Ditko. Wow.
Oh yeah, I love that. It's
Yeah,
like
great stuff.
showcase or something like that.
Yeah, it was Showcase. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That was
They brought
when
Showcase back.
he was going to DC. He looked like he was going to really make it big. And then I don't know who created Shade the Changing Man, but that's
Ditko.
another one that okay. Well, that's another one that they kind of bastardized through the
I
years.
think it's Ditko.
Uh, did Neil Gaiman write the newer version
No,
from
Peter
the
Milligan.
Peter Milligan? Yeah, they were.
Look, this is Ditko, Ink, and Kirby
Yeah.
cover.
Yep. I can see it. I can feel it happening.
Yeah, pretty sure it is. With Tyrannus, the character Tyrannus. I don't
Sure,
know.
that's not Chick Stone.
I think it's Ditko.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm no expert.
I wouldn't take my word for it if I were you.
I'm. If I knew who Hungry Boy was, I would consider myself an expert, but I don't. So I can't tell you who this is. I'm just saying that the kid's face, and they used to have a lot of people, diverse hands as they call it, go in and finish an illustration. The kid's face, I guess that's Rick Jones, doesn't look like a Ditko face.
All right. It might be Chick Stone. I'll tell you what I will do. On the second one was Fantastic Four. I will look it up so that we'll all know. How about that?
I always consider that I have a better than even chance that I may be wrong, or at least
Well, you're probably right
incorrect.
now because see, I now doubt myself. So
Now, the
uh,
Incredible Hulk only ran 6 issues when it first came out,
yeah.
and I've got the little paperbacks of that, and I'm not even really sure if I have the Marvel
Dick
Master.
Ayers. Both got
Dick
it
Ayers.
wrong. Yay, Dick Ayers.
Hey, everybody
But
needs a little Dick
but
Ayers
yeah.
now and then.
Yeah. Okay, so it was. I think it may have been number 6 that was Ditko.
Yeah, 6 was the last.
Yeah,
The
Ditko did the last
Incredible.
issue.
Yeah,
That's right. Okay, well,
and the Hulk
why not?
went to what was it? Tales to Astonish or Tales of Suspense? Maybe Tales to Astonish. The Hulk shared the comic, I guess because they thought he couldn't. The 1 through 6 didn't sell that well or something, but they're still kind of jerking the Hulk around today. They killed him. They brought him back, and when they brought him back, it kind of lets you know they're not going to kill him again because this time he's the immortal Hulk. And I'm probably the only one that liked that series, and they only did 50 issues, and they did some specials, but the last issue kind of fell apart. But it's all to prove how much of an influence Kirby was. He creates his character. The comic fails after 6 issues. It's still being published today.
Oh wow, Steve is giving us a bold announcement here. He says, "Okay, I'll tell you. I know who Hungry Boy is. Truly is. I mean, he's Steve Ditko. He faked his own death brilliantly. I'm glad I got that off my chest. Well, now you've just blown it for everybody. He was trying to keep a
Damn
secret of that, but oh well.
There goes
Oh well.
all the mystery in my life is gone now. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Would you like to see a piece of some Kirby draw a character you'd never really, almost never see him draw, like maybe once?
Conan?
Conan.
Oh yeah.
I think Ramita did the.
Ramita redid the face, but in the that giant
Still a great
book
cover.
that black book that Kirby did, where they did all the drawings.
I have that.
He wife, that was like it's like just for the hell of it, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. Oh, he never did Conan much. I mean, but still, good to see him do it once.
Yeah.
And that's a dang good cover.
Yep.
So,
Conan
just for the hell of it.
Elric. Yeah, Conan and Elric.
Yeah. How about some Blacklight Kirby? Because it's open season on Kirby tonight, so it's boom.
Yeah,
you have that one?
I dig it.
I bet D-Butt has this poster.
I had that. There was a carnival coming through town, and you would like pop a balloon with a dart or something, but you had to pop like, I don't know, 5 or 10 of them.
Oh, by the way, Chris Purser liked it.
And that's what I got.
Hulk. Okay, he collected that. Okay, Chris Purser agrees with you. He liked the Immortal Hulk.
2 of us. It was really a good read. The art took some time to get used to, but I did, and now I miss it. So
yeah.
But
who had the Blacklight posters? Go ahead.
I won this at a carnival in Jackson, Louisiana.
Wow.
I don't remember how old I was, but I still lived there. I was probably about 17 or 18.
Was this one of the posters or one of the postcards?
Well, it was a poster, and I think this. Remember how they used to make them with like a little velvet or some kind of fuzz where the black stuff is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because they had that one. They had a Galactus one. I don't know that they did a Fantastic Four one, but might have done a thing. But yeah, they had these there, and it's like in a small town, 6,000 people, 2,000 of which were in the local mental institution, but we counted them as population anyway. Nobody knew who this was but me.
Of course. How about some Kirby power? Cap Bucky kicking some arse.
Yeah.
Kicking some RC arse. Yeah.
Again,
power.
Do you have the one that was inked by Dave Stevens? This thing?
Somewhere probably. I don't know.
It's not this exact pose. I think Bucky has an American flag flying, and there's some kind of Yahtzee general pointing a
Uh,
gun at Captain America.
hmm.
It was on the cover of Jack Kirby Collector,
I'm afraid I does not
and
know.
several people have inked this, but I thought Dave Stevens did a really good job of it.
Here's an example of a Kirby face being replaced
Yeah,
by Murphy Anderson. Now, I love Murphy Anderson's, the Swanderson looks like. But what was wrong with just letting Kirby just do it? You understand what I'm preaching to you?
they're probably afraid that people would say, "Hey, that's Jack Kirby." I don't like Jack Kirby, not on Superman. And that was like that was like an editorial decision because he drew it and he hands it off to somebody, and somebody goes, "Ugh, that looks too much like Kirby."
Well, it had to be. I hate to think it was Carmen Infantino, but he was the publisher at the time. But he wasn't the editor, though. But still, I don't think he would. I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know who did it.
hadn't Mort Weisinger gone by the 70s?
Yeah, I mean Julie was. I don't think Julie did it. Maybe he did. I don't know. I mean, he was editing Superman at the time, but I don't
Well,
think he was editing.
The Swanderson style was the look that they wanted, and I'm thinking Jack Kirby could have done that, but he did it Kirby style. And if you're buying a Kirby book, you're buying it because Kirby drew it. You're not buying it because you want to see Murphy Anderson come in there and glue a face to it.
No, you're not.
Nothing wrong with Murphy Anderson. It's
I
just
love Murphy Anderson, but
that
yeah,
was just one of those business things.
yeah. Yes, sir.
No.
I does not know. Yep, the face replacement. Sorry. Actually, he was trying. He did ink Swan a lot. Murphy Anderson did there.
Yeah.
Steve, and that might have been a picture of Swan pencil with Murphy Anderson inking. I don't know. You guys are the artists, not me.
Although Anderson could ape that style, I guess if they couldn't get Kurt Swan, because why would they? Why would they call in two guys to fix, so to speak, this one face?
Well, they also there were a couple of them where it was Neil Adams.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what they were doing. By the way, you were talking about earlier. We were talking about how we when they started reporting, the Comic Journal started reporting on the comic book. The original art thing. This was the first Comic Journal I had that. Will Marvel return Jack Kirby's original art? This is one of the first ones that really had an in-depth article about it.
I still got that one.
Oh, I still have all my Comic Journals. Yep.
You remember the one with Jim Shooter on the cover, and
I have that.
They printed his the transcript of his testimony, and I got to tell. I said to Gary Groth at Dallas Fantasy Fair one year, I said, I think they could get Shooter on perjury. He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Look at what he says here at the beginning of every statement." He goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "I think." He begins every sentence with "I think." And he just kind of threw his head back and laughed at that one because nobody liked Shooter back then.
I liked his Valiant. Stuff.
The terrible story about Shooter, and since we have people in here who may know or may not know the truth about this, I'm trying to think of who it was. Archie Goodwin. Was it Archie Goodwin who was editing Marvel before Shooter? Do you remember that?
Yeah, he was one of them. Yeah, he was. He was.
Well, they gave him Epic. Well, they gave him Epic after they took him off there because
talking about this issue.
Yeah, because apparently Jim Shooter had been keeping a record of every little mistake that Archie Goodwin made, and Archie Goodwin one day somebody said, "Hey, it might have been Shooter," said, "Hey, why don't you go on vacation? You hadn't been on vacation in years." And Archie Goodwin said, "Yeah, I probably should go on vacation." So he goes on vacation. and this story came to me from Roger McKenzie. He goes on vacation. Shooter goes into Stan Lee and he says, "Look at all this shit that this guy's done, all the screw ups he's made." He's like, we really need to get rid of him. And Stan Lee by that time was so out of touch with what was really going on. He had to take Shooter's word for it. So when Archie Goodwin got back from vacation, he found out he didn't have a job anymore. It was Shooter's job, and they gave him the epic line.
Yeah.
Didn't throw him completely out the door, but Shooter basically stabbed him in the back to get it. And a lot of people, like I said, Roger McKenzie told me that. He really did not like Jim Shooter from the way we were talking about it. Because at that time, I had only heard rumors about it. Remember, this is the 80s. There was really no fan magazine except maybe Comics Journal.
It was hard-hitting. It was the one that really was hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah,
the other ones were puff pieces.
Comics Buyer's Guide was there.
Yeah.
It was like sycophants for Marvel and DC.
It was like a trade mag with an industry trade mag. Publication more than anything else.
Some of the first writing Peter David ever did, and Bob Ingersoll had a regular article on there.
Yeah,
he was pretty fair, but when Shooter kind of bulldozed a bunch of people, the people that were standing beside it, and saw it, I got that one too. The people that were standing at the side watching all this stuff go on, like they're afraid to lose their jobs because Shooter got this guy fired. What can they do to him? What can he do to them? But he was you can't really say he was a pariah because he stayed in the business for a long time, and as long as he was making money for the company, they didn't care. And Marvel got worse and worse about that kind of crap. They got very litigious, and then at one point, Marvel had a reputation for having lawyers that if you said the wrong thing in your comic, they were going to pounce on you. They were going to sue you. And in fact, Marvel's attorneys tried to sue Dave Stevens over Rocketeer because they said they owned the name Rocketeer.
Yeah.
And that thing went on for a couple of years, and then some idiot sent a Batman or a Detective comic to them that predated Marvel's claim, and they just dropped it.
Yep. Tell them who it was.
Well, it was the same idiot that when he was at Dallas Fantasy Fair, got in the elevator with Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens was a little tipsy. Said to him, "Hey, you know that Batman, a Detective comic that predated Marvel's claim for Rocketeer?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I sent that in," and he goes, "Thanks, man." That was good enough for me. That was great. That was awesome. That not only was I able to stop a pending lawsuit, which I'm sure, and I asked him, like, why would they do that? He said, they want me to work for them, and I don't want to work for them. He did 2 pages in a Star Wars, probably that one that Shaken was drawing. I'm not even really sure. It might have been Jedi, but he did 2 pages, and they were like the best looking Star Wars pages that they had done up till that point.
Well, yeah, Dave Stevens was amazing though. So yes, you for those again, you heard it right. They were going to go after Dave Stevens, and Minimus here himself saved Dave Stevens. At least from
if you've got all the Comics Journals, it's in there. It's just
I've got almost all of them.
It's very small, and
from
then
the
of course
90s, 80s.
It's him. Let me tell you how cheap these bastards were. All right, I had heard something about it. There was the Human Torpedo was what they were using because there was Rocketeer Raiders or something, or I forget which one it was. But so I go to our friend's shop across town, and I'm looking through there, and there it was. It was like Batman, Gil Kane drawing, Batman with a parachute and guys flying at him and rockets shooting at him, and he's hanging onto his parachute, and it said something like the Rocketeers. And it took place 8 years before Marvel's claim. So I went home and I looked up the number for Comics Journal, and I called, and I didn't talk to Gary Groth. I talked to somebody in the office, and I guess they thought I was a fan calling to say hi, I really love the America. No, I had a story for them. And the guy goes, "Okay, what's your name?" And he takes my name down, takes my phone number down, and then I said, "I got this at the local comic shop," and I told him what it was, and I said, you should really go to your local comic shop and look it up. And the guy goes, "Can't you just mail it to us?" And I'm thinking, what a cheap son of a bitch. Because the book only cost me $8. The shipping was like $7. So I mailed it to him. I don't know when it came out. This was might have been late '80s, but I never heard back from him. I never got a thank you note from anybody. But they printed it. They showed the cover, and they said like Detective Comics number whatever, proven to predate Marvel's claim. My words that I told them. And they printed it, and everything stopped. And like I said, I saw him at Dallas Fantasy Fair when I went there with Dave Roberts and Carlos Speed for that weekend. And yeah, he he really enjoyed Carlos Speed's company. She was like the pretty young girl, and I'm talking to him at his table, and he's going, yeah. And I said, "Hey, Carla, come over here." And it helps when you got a girl, especially a young girl. Comes over to Dave Stevens' table, and I said I had out talked to him about. I was talking to him about her, maybe helping him out, being an art assistant or whatever. He thought I was talking about me, and I said, "Oh no, here, it's a friend of mine." And I called her, "Hey, Carla, come here." She comes down there, and boy, he perked up. And he was single at the time. They started talking about stuff, and I just sort of eased away. I don't know what happened after that. I just eased away
All
from him, and then she became a professional comic book artist, and not a lot of people know because she worked on an independent book that was later picked up by Dark Horse.
Yeah. Yep,
called,
her indeed.
called Finder. I don't know if anybody remembers a book called Finder.
Somebody here probably does. We've got a group that knows a lot of stuff here.
She told me one time. She said, "If you really want to get into this business, draw funny animals." Okay.
By the way, Steve Mitchum, thanks, buddy, for being here. He's getting on the road. He's going to be listening. So thank you, buddy, for listening. Yeah. Thank you for not listening and listening.
Thank you, Steve Mitchum, for being.
That's true. Thank you. So Captain Time Lord Spock says, and I concur with this, sir. Oh, wait a minute. I lost it now. Is it rose tinted glasses? Late 70s and early to mid 80s were an extraordinarily rich and creative time. Or do we all love the stuff from our teenagers? I don't know. I think it was a little bit of both, but I think it was a great time. It's way better than now. In my opinion, that stuff, you go back and it holds up. Now, here's one of the, just like last week when the past couple of weeks for 3 weeks straight, we were reviewing one of my favorite comics from when I was a 12-year-old back in the mid 70s called The Man Called Nova. It was we reviewed the first 13 of them or something like that, whatever, and the crossover issue that it went into Spider-Man 171. So, and I hadn't read it since I was 12 years old. I had not read them since then, and I just always loved Nova after that. I left the series not too long after that point because the art got really bad, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing this with very, very old eyes compared to the last time I read the book. And Marv Wolfman, God bless him, man, the script and a lot of the story elements and stuff.
Didn't you think of him as sort of like Hemingway like prose? No. It was so good.
No. It was cringe beyond belief. The dialogue and some of his story points. I still love the character, and I still love the art. I mean, in fact, before after issue 14. In fact, I enjoy the art the story was goofy, and some of his characterization was goofy, and it was. I mean, it's like sometimes, but you got to remember the editors told those guys to write for 12 years old. I was the demographic when that comic came out in 1976, 7, somewhere up in there. So, it was 77. Anyway, I was who they were aiming at that time as a 12-year-old. And it was written on a very, very pedestrian level. It was a cornball beyond belief. The writing, you read it now and you, holy shit. And yet, and again, the story had problems as well. It was definitely blatantly ripping off Green Lantern and Spidey in some ways, but there were differences. So as silly as the writing was, I still just love the character, love his design, and man, John Buscema and even John, I think it was John Buscema and Joe Sundin on the first couple of issues, then later Sal Buscema, Tom Palmer, then later Sal Buscema and Frank Giacoia. It was terrific. I enjoyed the art even now more than I did back then. And I still love the thing for its art and all this other it was so much fun reading them again, laughing at some of the silly shit and just still saying these are great comics because they were at that point aimed at kids, which is what they were supposed to be for. But now you can still go back as someone who appreciates art and story and still enjoy it. Keely Chow, Roll Tide, good to see you, my friend. So sure, you look back and there are dated things here and there on some of this stuff, but here's what's not dated. Cap, is the art, the concepts, the ideas. The stories sometimes work, sometimes don't. The characters usually are great. Nova's a great character. I love him. Marv was definitely trying to build his own rogues gallery, almost using this for the first 12 or so issues, or maybe using one known villain. Mark D with a C, what's up, dude? Good to see you. And so it didn't stick. That Rose Gallery, no one really ever heard of him. The Sphinx lasted a little while, but still, we had a blast. In fact, and on that panel, myself and D-Bud were in the same age range, but you've got Nick, who's on his channel. He's the age of one of my kids. Ironcaster's the age of one of my other kids. And I think Pablo's around that age, and Fenrir's even younger than that. So a bunch of young guys, and Fenrir and Pablo, and they enjoyed the hell out of it. And they weren't even born when that thing came out, except for D-Bud and myself. So it was a bunch of guys and Lord Thoth joined us last night, and he was born. He was on our range. I mean, that on the last one. So you had 3 guys who were around when it came out for the most part, and hadn't read it in 40 years just about. And you had 4 guys who were, again, not even close to born when the thing came out, and they had a blast. So I think these things do hold up. D-Bud Martin says, he says, come on, Clobby, the Condor was the greatest villain since Doctor Doom. Yeah, who remembers the Condor?
I do. Sorry.
Well, okay. I understand that, but what else does? Diamond Head?
Diamond Head to me was the worst.
Oh, man.
Other people were talking about the Sphinx.
He was so stupid.
Diamond Head was a dumbass villain.
Diamond Head was a dumbass. The Sphinx, again, that Sphinx saga, and we talked about this. We do need to cover the Sphinx saga because it continued in the, Marv, couldn't finish it in Nova, so he finished it in Fantastic Four.
Oh,
Mark, you out there in the stick somewhere, dude? Where you at, man? Anyway, go ahead.
There's another Diamond-themed character that premiered in Speedball #1. When I saw it, I thought, they're repurposing Diamond Head, but no, it was just another guy made of diamonds. And I don't know what the obsession is with diamonds, since they're basically just pressurized rocks anyway, that somebody put a value on it. Diamond Head, though, I got to say, probably the worst Marvel villain of all time.
And again, you want to talk about some of the cringe writing for the character of Diamond Head. He's remembering, there's a flashback in his first appearance where he's talking about why he became a villain. And it's him as, whereas all the other kids would dress up as superheroes or whatever. They had him dressed up as the Red Skull as a kid because he just wanted to be he wanted to be a villain.
Yeah. Look,
so where'd he get a Red Skull costume?
I made a Captain America costume when I was probably about 12, and I made it from a pillowcase, and I used paint and I drew places for my eyes and mouth, and I didn't. I used a string or a rubber band or something where I could have choked myself to draw up the neckline, and I cut holes in the side of it. But I had painted myself a Captain America costume out of a pillowcase. When, as far as I knew at the time, either none existed or in my small town we didn't have access to them. But
Well,
now I would dress as the Condor now, probably.
you could dress as no Diamond Head. That would be a tough thing to cosplay, by the way.
I could get like a clear plate or something, stick it on my head.
Diamond Head would be tough to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so give it a shot. Oh dear. Well, I guess whatever. Huh?
No, I had a like a brain fart just a while ago. I said the Diamond character was from Speedball. It was from the new classic X-Men thing because I just remember Wolverine stabbed him in the guts. The old Wolverine stabbed him in the guts, and the guy said something like, "My guts would be leaking out right now if I wasn't made of diamonds." Okay. I don't know why I thought of it. I guess because I just bought Speedball #1 because I don't think I ever had it. But Diamond guys, man, you're going up against Wolverine. He's got adamantium claws, and now we know he could be a jeweler if he wanted to. Cut that diamond, bitch.
Would you cosplay? Would you cosplay the Cassette Man? That'd be a great cosplay.
Who was the Calculator a Marvel or a DC character?
DC.
God.
Batman villain. Yeah.
All you have to do is get yourself a calculator and like tape it to your shirt. There you go. Easy peasy.
I hear you, JD Lewis. That's right. I wish Sal had not left Nova, but he probably did better with Captain America, and Hulk.
Yeah.
Rom. That was before Rom, but yeah. So
Sal Buscema did have like some traits of Kirby and his brother John. He did have the poses, and when a Sal Buscema character gritted his teeth, you knew you were about to get your ass kicked.
Sal was great at action.
Yeah,
he really was. He gets he's underrated. I always thought as a storyteller, but it was such a good comic for a while there, just fun to look at.
Yeah.
But what you gonna do?
And probably drew every Marvel character ever.
Yeah, I guess he did. I mean, now that you mentioning it, yeah, I think he probably did. Yeah, giggle. That is weird stuff. Oh, sorry, Steve. He doesn't like me to do Johnny Carson. Sorry.
I know they say that up to one point, every Marvel character ever had appeared in the Fantastic Four. Like, didn't Black Panther debut in the Fantastic Four, or was it Avengers?
Number 53 of the Fantastic Four. Yes.
Yeah. So
52. Sorry, 52 and 53. Yeah.
So Kirby pretty much didn't introduce him. He drew every Marvel character, and sometimes you got to have these big fight scenes. Yeah. And if you remember the classic cover of I think it was in a Giant Avengers where the FF was facing off against the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
The fight we were waiting to see, and then okay, it's over.
Was that big when they all fought the Hulk on the
on a building that was being built, and he threw a girder down at him.
One of the first one of the earliest super team battles.
So when somebody says that the FF was created by Stan Lee because Martin Goodman had a golf game with the guy in charge of DC and saying our book, The Justice League, is selling really well. So he comes back and he goes, "Hey, we need a team book." Well, I didn't think of Fantastic Four as that kind of team because there's only 4 of them, and they were family and friends. These other guys just banded together to fight. Yeah, there it is, to fight crime. And the Fantastic Four uh, calling it a team book seems like Stan, even at the time, was out of touch with what a team book was.
Mm.
Because,
Well,
like pretty much like Challengers of the Unknown, these were four people who went up in a space plane, and when they came down, they were changed.
yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed, sir.
And they were both Kirby books too.
Of courseness. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you for not hanging
I
out with us.
truly appreciate it. Um, we're gonna have a big week of streaming tomorrow night. I guess I'll probably go hang out with Tom over there at Midnight Jets. I'm not sure exactly, but Wednesday night, the comic book roundtable returns, of course, on Loki's channel, and that will be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about Image Comics, so I get to make fun. I get to bash Image Comics. We're talking about the history of Image Comics, so that's what he wants to talk about. I do believe so. That'll be fun. Well, I remember when I created this chat right here. I created everything, including Chris Persia. Chris Persia, aren't you glad I created you?
He created masturbation because he's a jerk off.
And then
I didn't
what?
say that. Nothing.
What?
Nothing was said.
And then after the roundtable on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be Wildcard Wednesday will be a Kirby topic. It'll call Kirby Obscura here. We will talk about again, talk about some of his lesser known works, or at least characters that aren't like the front runner first stringers, just different stuff. I'll have all kinds of picatures and stuff like that, because why not? And then Thursday night, the clubhouse, we will have. I don't have a picture of it yet, but on the clubhouse on Thursday night, we will have. We will celebrate the birthday of the great bird of the galaxy, which will be the day after it, but we'll celebrate it the day before. Gene Roddenberry, Raquel, and Mark and myself. I don't know if Mark's going to be here or not. Mark may not be in town, but so Mark, I don't know if you're going to be in town, dude. You're welcome to join us if you can, but if you can't, we understand. So anyway, and then of course Saturday night is all right for a fight. We're going to finish up season 1 of the Deep Space Nine. We'll have 3 episodes. Dramatis Persona, aka we all get to be Klingons. Duet, a masterpiece of an episode. I'm not supposed to tell it. And then In the Hands of Nurse Ratched episode. The beginning. And then a bit of a wrap party of season 1. We'll look at an overview of season 1. So that will be fun. That is 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, same Trek time, same Clobby channel. And what else? And then a week from tonight, next Monday night, on Monday night, Moxie Comics Talk, celebrating Jack Kirby month. Fantastic Four, number 51, Clobby's classic comic review. With my good buddy, the great Mark Cadillo, with I see two big damn Ben Grimm fans. Is it the greatest Kirby comic of all? Brittany probably would say no, because they have a different favorite. That's fine. But I just put it up there because I wanted to feel like Stan. I want to put some hyperbole into it. You know what a mainstream being?
I think I do. I understand your language finally at the end of the episode.
Thank you, Captain Time Lord Spock. In fact, I want to say right now, thanks to all of you who hung out with us tonight. What a great, lively chat we've had. Of course, Captain Time Lord Spock, thank you. Hungry Boy, appreciate it, brother. Steve Mitchum, the great D. Bud Martin, the great wrenches, Eric K. and Chris Persia. Thank you for being here tonight. Larry. Was Phantom Outsider here? I don't know. But Mouse shouted. Yeah, he was. Phantom Outsider was here earlier. Dave, J.D. Lewis. I believe Neurotonax Amanda Bear popped in as well. Mark, the great Mark D with the C, Keely Chow. I can't remember everybody else because I don't have it written down. My apologies. Kal-El was here though. Kal-El, buddy. Good to see you, man. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Who else was here? I can't remember everybody. Gwagnar was here. Thank you, Gwagnar.
Larry.
Yep, got Larry there. Thank you, Larry, for being here. I'm running the chat backwards. You got Dave. I got Dave.
Oh, Dave. JD Lewis.
I got him. I named him. Didn't hear me naming people?
I don't listen to you.
Dave. Don't, Dave. Stop, Dave. I'm losing my mind. Open the pod bay doors. Polymies, Minion, and the Pupper were here. I'm looking. Brian Hepburn, thank you for being here. If I forgot it,
may I offer a pronunciation of Gwagnar? I know I'm no Raquel Briggs, but I'd like to give it a shot.
Dadman, thank you for being here. And I have to get to run. I don't know if you had to run up, but Dadman, you go do what you got to do. Go ahead.
Okay.
Remind me to punch you in the ear next time I see you because that hurt.
Okay. You already did that. You did that 40 years ago.
That doesn't count. The statute of limitations of that was run out a long time ago.
Your knee went right into my ear, and I was wobbly for days.
I was justified. We were at a comic shop.
Oh, okay.
It was justifiable knee aside. It probably made you the man you are today, which is
probably
no reason to hate me.
That might be what it is.
Yeah. I think if we didn't get everybody, I'd apologize, everyone. I hope I got everyone. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And you are all extraordinary. And one last time, meeting Jack Kirby was the greatest. And always will be.
And he was still smiling.
Yep, we were his favorite fans ever. You could ask him.
Because we wouldn't peel away from him.
Yeah. So I will play us out with these. You broke Wagnar's speakers. Hey, he didn't. Yeah, that was louder than Raquel does it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And it was well done, wasn't it? And Wagner appreciated it, even if his speakers did get broken.
I appreciate his appreciation.
Have a wonderful rest of your night, and hope to see you all out there on the streams, baby cakes. Later. What?
Oh, just on a personal note, August 23rd, Pam and I will have been married for 14 years. 14 years, and she still hasn't kicked me out.
But she's kicked him, just not out, everybody.
And she has bought me, I'm aiming this one at Mark D with a C. She has bought me toys. She really has.
Yeah. She's kicked him, but just not out.
Not out.
Just to clarify, everybody. Yeah.
I'm not going to say where she kicked me, but it wasn't out.
Shin kicks, like we have that
something like that.
Later, Gators, and of course these important messages. Thank you, everyone.
What about you?
What about me?
Why don't you go?
You are expendable.
And you're not?
No, I'm not. I am not expendable, I'm not stupid, and I'm not going.